Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome. Oh, I can't talk. Okay, well, this is gonna be interesting. Hey guys, welcome. Hello. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Do I sound different? Yes, I do, because apparently I'm losing my voice here. Like, I've been sick, but I just literally went to talk to start this video, and I'm like, okay, I sound like a different person. I have no voice. So today's Q&A is gonna be a weirdly sounding Q&A. My goal was to fold some laundry. I folded Riley's clothes, and then I have like all of Jackson's clothes to fold. So I was like, let me do some folding, do a Q&A, kind of kill two birds with one stone. But here I am, and I don't even sound like myself. So I don't know, we'll start, and if I lose my voice halfway through, then maybe I'll have to scrap this video. But I'm gonna attempt, it's gonna be a hot mess, I'm gonna attempt to answer some of your questions. I asked you guys over here on YouTube this time. Normally I ask questions on Instagram, but I asked you guys, and I got a bunch of questions. So the first question, I'm just gonna get right to it. I love your faces, thanks for being here, thanks for hanging out. Maybe fold some laundry while you listen to this. Anyway, the first question is, do you feel fulfilled in this season of your life as an adult, a wife, and a mother? So really quick, I'm gonna say that yes, I'm feeling very, very fulfilled these days. Okay, this is like a fitted sheet. I'm not gonna fold that right now. I'm feeling very fulfilled, and I don't know, I feel happy. I feel happy. I'm glad that some of you guys noticed that. Like, I was reading through some comments today, and someone was saying like, oh, you seem so happy in your vlogs. Like, I feel very happy. I feel very fulfilled. I feel like lately, just like leaning into my faith has helped a lot. I've never, like I've always told you, I've never had like a season of severe like depression or anything like that, but I've definitely been happier at times than others. And right now I feel like I'm in a good place. I'm embracing what, you know, what we're doing right now, being in Virginia. And I feel like I'm getting a hang of being a mom of two. I mean, here I am almost 2 years later being a mom of two, and I feel like this is what I was meant to do. I feel like this is my purpose. And career-wise, I feel very fulfilled. Like, I feel like there's growth happening. I feel like more than anything, there's connection happening. Like, you guys like talk to me, and you guys support me like with my Etsy shop and stuff. Like, not that you have to support my Etsy shop, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there's a community. I feel like you guys really care that I show my face out here and that I have people to talk to. So point is, yes, I feel very fulfilled, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you for being a part of it. This question is, how many times a week do you get out of the house? I'm a stay-at-home mom too, and I find myself staying at home too much with my 15-month-old while my husband is working. So that is something that I feel like a lot of stay-at-home moms like struggle with. I'd say that right now I've made it a point, like you guys know with my whole like anxiety journey, I've made it a point to at minimum leave the house once a week with both of the kids by myself. That's been like my baseline. Like, there was a time when I would never do that, and I've conquered the fear of doing it, and the more that I've done it, the better I've gotten at it, and the less, you know, I don't get as scared anymore going out with both of them. And you learn along the way what works, what doesn't. So I think it's important to practice that. So at least once a week, we're going to Target, even if it's just to go to Target, or we'll go to the library sometimes. I know that when we go to places like Target, it's an expensive outing because, you know, I end up buying stuff, and not that you have to buy stuff every time you go to Target, but I mean, usually that's what happens. But other things that you can do is just like find a nice park, find a park where it's in a place where it's not like a remote sketchy looking park where nobody drives by. Here in Virginia, there's a lot of like farms and like just places where I could take the kids to. I haven't really done that so much yet because some of those places are kind of remote, and I'm still kind of scared of doing that by myself. But at the very least, Target, go do groceries. Like, I know that like it's way easier to do groceries online, and it's easier to have stuff sent to you or to do the Walmart pickup. But if you're really struggling with getting out of the house, just a little quick grocery trip, even if it's just for bread and milk, gets you out of the house, gets the kids out of the house. They look at, you know, they look through the aisles, you can point things out to them. And I think even just like a small trip like that is very helpful. You can take them with you to the coffee shop. You can take them to, like, if you have a Barnes and Nobles or something nearby, maybe you go to the bookstore and you sit and you look through books for a couple, you know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever they let you do. And it doesn't mean that you have to buy something every time, but it's something that, you know, at least gets you out of the house. So the next question is, what are some of the sucky parts about working on YouTube? And can you talk about your schedule for editing, all of that? Curious how you find the time to do that. So there's definitely sucky parts about being, you know, doing what I do. The fact that I can work all the time, anytime I want, like, it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. And I've talked about this before. Like, when you work for yourself, you are not like on a 9-to-5 schedule like you would be at a job, which, I mean, I never liked being at a 9-to-5 schedule, which is why I do what I do now. But there's this tendency to want to work until 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and so that part is hard for me. Like the late hours, even though I am like a night owl, so it doesn't bother me as much, but given that I'm working like around the kids being awake, and the fact that when they're like awake I can't do the work that I need to do, I do find myself working way into the night. That takes away time from me just like relaxing or watching shows. Like, I am super behind on all of my shows because I really don't have time to watch TV as much as I used to. And I know that's not the end of the world, but those are things that are relaxing, that it's a trade-off. You know, if I'm working, that's time that I have taken away from just kind of relaxing. So there's that. The other sucky part is, you know, everybody has an opinion about everything. Some people will say that what I do here is ridiculous or whatever. They have their opinions about it, and so you have to listen to them, you have to hear it. But I've tried at this point in my life, like, I feel comfortable with what I'm doing, with what I'm sharing, and so to me, at the end of the day, like, that's what's most important. Like, me, what my family thinks, what Joe thinks, and it's something that I pray about a lot. So that is, you know, kind of hard, and there's just always stuff happening. Like, there's always stuff coming at you from like a million different directions, and you've got comments, you've got DMs. Like, there's this tendency to always feel like you have to be on, and that's something that I work through, you know, regularly. And some days I'm doing really great with it, some days I struggle, and that's why I'm trying more to like limit how much I'm on social media, like on the weekends, and kind of dedicating some time to not be on, because it can be overwhelming. So again, I could talk about this forever, but let's keep going with the questions. So this question is more or less, this person wants me to tell them a little bit more about my faith. Did Joe become Catholic when you got married, or was he already Catholic? Do you say grace before dinner? Just a lot of stuff about faith and all of that. So just long story short, I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but I was raised Catholic. Joe was not raised really anything. Like, he was baptized in a Christian church, like, or in a Baptist church. I think Mima, like, you know, had them baptized in a Baptist church, but they didn't grow up going to church regularly at all. So I did. Like, I grew up going to Catholic mass like every week. We'd go to mass and we'd go to dinner. I went to Catholic school starting in 7th grade. And then I went to Catholic high school. So that's like always been like part of the culture, part of my family and all of that. But it wasn't until like recently, as I've become more of like an adult, and really recently, like in the last 2 or 3 years, that I've really like dove in, is that a word? Dived? Like, I've dived into my faith, like, because I have wanted to, right? Not because like my mom told me I have to read this, or not because it's part of my homework. Like, it's because I have wanted to, and it's made a huge difference in my life. Like, just reading through my devotionals and actually picking up the Bible and reading, and all of that has been super important. So now that Joe sees that like this is really something that I want to make part of my life, and you know, we're going to church and stuff, Joe has really embraced that, and he wants, you know, to have that faith. And so I've been really blown away by the fact that he's been so into it, and to wanting to read the Bible, wanting to learn. And so he's not technically Catholic yet, like he hasn't had any of his other sacraments, but he's looking into religious education whenever we can get around to doing that, because he would like to kind of go through those things. Like, I plan on having Riley do all the sacraments and stuff, and the kids do the sacraments. So at some point Joe might also do that. And I think that a lot of people also, like, they get hung up on like, oh, you're Catholic, why are you Catholic, why are you Christian, you're Baptist, like all the different denominations of Christianity and stuff. And I think people get too hung up on that. I think it's just more so important that, you know, like, you're reading the Bible and that you're trying to follow the path of Jesus and whatever. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I hope that answers the question. We do say grace before meals. We try to, like, at least like when we have dinner together as a family, where we say grace. Riley knows how to say grace, so we're making it more and more a part of our life. Joe and I are doing the Bible in a Year program, where we're reading the Bible with Father Mike Schmitz, that I highly recommend if you want to get on a faith journey of any kind. He's a great, like, super down-to-earth, chill priest that you can really understand, and he just like walks you through the Bible, and it's something that Joe and I do now at night, so we love it. And I will tell you, like, the minute that Joe and I have started to really work on our faith together, I feel like our marriage has been so much better for it, and our family has been so much better for it. So I remember when I came to Virginia, when we moved, I said, I don't love it because I'm gonna be away from my family, right? I'm not loving this whole thing, but I know that there's a reason for it, and I'm gonna trust God that there's a reason why he's doing this. And I know for a fact that the reason that he moved us here was that Joe and I could work on our faith and work on our faith in our family. And I don't think we would have done it had we not been up here. And, you know, I think that that's kind of what God is calling us to do right now. So let's keep going. This question is, are you ever tempted to work outside of your home and send your kids to childcare? I work part-time and have my kids with me 3 days a week, and found myself really struggling mentally and physically with my toddlers at home 7 days a week. I'm so impressed by all the stay-at-home moms. It's the hardest job by far. So first of all, I'm sorry that this person is struggling, and I know that so many of us struggle with it. To be a stay-at-home mom and be locked up in your house with screaming children is freaking hard. It is so hard, and it's so, like, people just think it's like this magical, beautiful, easy thing to do, and it's not. Like, it is beautiful in its own way, but it's messy and it's chaotic and it's suffocating, and it's like all these other things too. So it's mentally hard because you're used to being like your own person, and then suddenly it's like, oh wait, now I have to like be a waitress to all these tiny humans and answer every need that they need. And when you've got one kid calling you this way, the other one's pulling you in that direction, like you never have a moment to yourself unless they are both asleep, or however many kids you have, unless that one kid is asleep. So it is hard. But for me, the answer is no. I have no interest in working outside of the home. But I think that for me, that's also like a different kind of question, because I do get a sense of fulfillment working from home, and I feel very blessed that I can do that. If I didn't have YouTube, or if I didn't have anything else that I could do in the home, would I maybe look for like a part-time something? I think maybe I may look at least for like a way to volunteer somewhere to get some kind of satisfaction doing something else. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But that being said, I don't think that there's any job that's more important than raising your kids. And I've said that a million times before. The work that you're doing, like, this is why we were put on this earth, in my opinion. You know, like, this is what we were made to do, is to have families and to, you know, be good people and continue in God's mission and raise good humans. And there's nothing more rewarding than that. There's nothing more important than that. Like, you're raising the future generations. Like, I don't know what else could possibly be more important, unless you're out there curing cancer and all of that. Like, obviously we need people to do that, right? But there's nothing to be frowned upon by you working and being like a mom of any kind. Like, that's super important. All right, sorry, I had to get the kids woke up from their naps and all of that, so you're gonna hear like YouTube little music in the background because you're watching TV. I'm very happy though, because like I've got a lot of this laundry done, so I'm happy that it was at least a productive use of my time. I do want to tell you, I got a bunch of questions saying things like along the lines of like, how do you stay so calm when you've got 2 kids? Like, you seem so chill. And I don't sometimes. Like, I lose it sometimes. Sorry, my battery died. But yes, I lose it sometimes. I find that I have the least amount of patience like after a long day, like around 4, 5 o'clock, around dinner time. That's really when I like snap and turn into a crazy person, because it's a lot. It wears on you when you've been with toddlers and little ones the entire day, and they are asking you for things all day long, and they're testing your patience all day long. Like, sometimes you don't stay so chill because it's annoying. So I think for the most part I do a good I do a good job about like realizing that there's certain things that don't really matter. Like, there's certain things that I'm very lax about, like mess, letting the kids get dirty. The house doesn't have to be in pristine condition. Like, obviously you've seen my house. Like, it does not have to be looking like a Pottery Barn catalog all the time, because I know that I have kids, and I give myself that grace, because otherwise I would drive myself crazy, and there's no point in it. Like, my job is to keep my kids alive and healthy and fed, and to, you know, help them to develop into human beings and teach them to be kind and all of those things, and help them to be creative and all of that kind of stuff, and have them, like, I just want to give them a good childhood, you know? And then all the other stuff, like, that kind of goes lower on the priority list for me in terms of the house not being clean all the time or whatever. So I do, like, I'm lax about certain things, and my house is not a pigsty either. Like, okay, like, yes, it's a mess, but like, I will find time, like when the kids are in bed, like on the weekends, like I will find a time to clean up. Like, it's not like my house looks like I'm in hoarders. Sometimes it does, right? Like, you've seen sometimes, but overall, like, I don't like to be living in a house that's super cluttered, that has so much stuff like going on. Like, there's never dishes in my sink when we go to bed. We always do the dishes. Dinner is always cleaned up, like, and so it just doesn't have to be like right there in the moment when there's chaos. I kind of can allow myself to like wait till things are a little bit not as hectic, aka when the kids are asleep. So I don't know. Point is, I'm not lax always. I do lose my temper, and that's something that I'm gonna be working on still. I will say that my medication definitely helped with it, but you know, you just learn to let go of certain things, and the expectation that your house is going to be perfect always, or the expectation that your kids are always going to behave super well, those expectations are not realistic. So, you know, have better expectations that things are just going to be chaotic, and then you won't be so frustrated. Another thing that I got asked a lot was about like your kids throwing tantrums, like especially out in public. How do you keep calm? Tantrums in public suck. Like, they are awful. And I mean, I have had a couple situations that I can think of where like we've been at the store. Like, lately, every time that I go to Target, you guys, with both of the kids, usually like as I'm walking to the checkout aisle, Jackson decides to have a fit, like full on tantrum, having a fit, wants a banana, like wants to be out of there. And all I can do is just tell him, like, I try to give him anything that I have to keep him entertained, but after that, like, if he's not accepting any of my offerings, then I have to just tell myself, okay, this isn't gonna last forever. We're gonna be in the car soon. Yes, it sucks right now. People are probably looking at me, but there's nothing that I can do, right? Like, and if the worst thing that happens to me is that my kid is screaming for 15 minutes in my ear and bothering a bunch of people, like, you know what, like, that's not the end of the world. We will survive it, right? Like, we have all survived so much more than a screaming kid for 15 minutes. So I try to tell myself that, then just obviously try to hurry it along so that I can get to the car as quickly as possible. That's if I've had to like be checking out because I've bought things. I remember one time I went to TJ Maxx and I was just kind of looking around, and Riley, she was younger, but she was having like a full-blown meltdown. And at that point I just had to say, okay, well, we're not gonna be here anymore. And I had to turn around and leave. Now if Riley's having a tantrum, she's old enough that I can kind of, you know, scold her, and I can tell her like, we're at a store, you need to behave. And then usually I can get her to calm down, no, at least long enough so that I can finish doing what I need to do. And then there was like the time that we went on the airplane, like last month or whenever it was. That was a situation I couldn't control. Like, we were on an airplane, I was stuck on a freaking aircraft. Like, there was nothing that I could do to leave, so I just had to accept my situation and pray and ask God for some patience. But kids are going to have tantrums. You can do your best to try to not have that be the case always, but it's gonna happen. And sometimes you just have to deal with it. And I wish I had better advice for you, but I know it sucks, and it just sucks. Like, I have nothing else to say. It's hard, but we all go through it. And I'd like to think that if there's other moms around you that see your child having a tantrum, that they can give you that grace too and be like, man, I've been there, and at least it's not my child today because it was yesterday, you know, that kind of thing. I also got some questions, you guys, about like my fitness, whatever I do for fitness, how do you stay in shape? I have not been working out like I have wanted to, okay? I've never been a big workout person. I mean, I was when I was like trying to find a husband, like when I was a lot younger and I was like, you know, on the dating scene or whatever. Like that's how Joe and I met. We met at CrossFit, and I was, you know, I was trying to stay in shape and trying to go and flirt and find a man. So I had my CrossFit time in my life, but ever since I became a mom, it's not the #1 priority. I know I still need to take care of myself, but I'm just so busy with everything else that it tends to like get pushed all the way to the back burner. So I have my bike downstairs that I loved, and there was a time where I was going on it all the time. And then I also have my treadmill, the Treadly that I shared with you guys, that's under my bed, and I want to use it. It's there, I want to use it. I just haven't had the time to get on that as much as I would want to. So right now my fitness whatever routine is non-existent, and I think that's still like going down to the basement and then upstairs and going down to the basement to do laundry and go upstairs, put it away. Like there's still like a lot of running around. I hardly ever am just like sitting down doing nothing. So I get some fitness like that. I go to Target and I walk around and I get my steps in, but right now it's not there, and that's okay. I think the biggest thing about that is like I realize that there are certain seasons in my life, and right now it's a busy season. I have 2 toddlers. Riley's gonna be 4, Jackson's gonna be 2, and there's just a lot going on, and I don't have help. I don't have people that I can just leave them with here and say, hey, I'm gonna go to the gym. Joe still is luckily like working from home a couple times a week, but he's going to the office more, and now especially it gets dark like at 4:30 over here. Like it's just like there's not a lot of time outside in the sunlight to do things, but I know that's not gonna be the case always, and the moment that I can kind of get a hang of things and I have a little bit of free time, I should prioritize it a little bit better. Even if it's just like me waking up and stretching or doing something, I would like to get on some kind of routine. This question was funny. This person said, besides God, do you believe in astrology and compatibility? This person said, because you're a Leo, I see so many similarities with myself. So super random, but I used to be much more into like the whatever, the signs and stuff, because yes, I am a Leo and my birthday's in August, and I used to read, you know, not my daily horoscope, but I would read up on what is a Leo, and then like I used to when I was younger be like, oh, compatibility, like when there was a boy that I liked, oh, he's this, and are we gonna be compatible, all of that. I think now that obviously I'm more into my faith, I think it's silly to waste time reading up about it, and like if you're technically like Christian and stuff, you're really not supposed to read the horoscopes and stuff like that. But I will say that I do identify a lot with like the basic Leo personality traits. So I find it interesting, honestly, that there are some people that are very much like their signs, and like I always joke, you know, I'm married to a Virgo, and Joe is super like OCD and a clean freak, and those are certain Virgo tendencies. But I don't wake up and look at my horoscope. I don't believe in any of that. I believe that God is the one who basically decides our fate, and I trust in that, and that's really all I have to say about it. But it's interesting, it's funny. Yes, I am somewhat of a Leo, but I don't like, you know, live my life based on those kinds of things. This person asked, do you ever feel like you need a mom break, but then when you can have one, you don't want it? Like, isn't that the story of our lives? Like, I want a break, I want a break, I want a break, and then like Joe will be like, oh, well, go take a nap, and I'm like, well, I don't want to right now. Like, it's just, that's just our life right now. And the problem also is like the minute that I get a break, I'm always like overwhelmed, because I'm like, okay, I have an hour. What do I do with this hour? Do I sleep? Do I work on YouTube stuff? Do I make shirts or ornaments now? Like, do I just watch a TV? Do I just watch a show? If I watch a show, which show should I watch? Should I fold laundry? Should I do the dishes? Should I meal prep? Like, there's all these things that you should maybe do. Should I work out? You know, and you have to figure out what to do with that hour, and there's never enough time. So then I end up just scrolling through Instagram. So it's hard, and I feel you if you're in that situation. This person asked, do you edit arguments between your kids or your husband out of your videos ever? So yes, I edit like the kids screaming in the background a lot, and that's why I leave a lot of it in, but I do also edit some of it out because otherwise you wouldn't be able to freaking hear me in my videos. So there is a little bit of that. And sure, like sometimes Joe and I will get into like a little spiff or something, or we'll say something with attitude, and sometimes I leave it in, sometimes I don't. God forbid I leave something in that's even remotely somewhat rude to Joseph. You guys all go to defend him because you love him, and I'm glad that you guys like him, but oh my god, the amount of people that say like, oh, you're mean to Joseph. Like, believe me, I love him. He is my favorite person. Like, I adore that man, but he still drives me nuts because we're married, and that's what marriage is. Like, you're with someone all the time and you love them, but dude, like, they're annoying sometimes. So yes, sometimes I will edit those because I don't feel like hearing it from people. And then I think the last question I'm gonna answer today, I'll probably do another one of these sometime soon, but I got a lot of questions just about the overall adjustment from going from 1 kid to 2 kids. So what I will say about that is just the hardest thing for me was the fact that like I no longer had like really any time for much of anything, because you go, like when you have 1 kid, it's like you're taking care of your kid is gonna take a nap at some point, or your kid is gonna be able to be put down at some point, and when that happens, now you get yourself back. Now you have a moment to yourself, you can do something. When you have now 2 of them, then when you put 1 down, the other one might still be up, and vice versa. When 1 is content, the other one might want something. And I always compare it to like, I don't know if any of you guys played, did you guys ever play those stupid little games of like, I don't know, like when you prepare the food and then you're like a server and you're like, you know, making the food and then taking it to the table. I don't know, there's a name for that game, but I used to play it all the time, Diner Dash or something like that. Like when you have 1 table, it's freaking easy. You wait for the food, you give it to the people, they leave, you clean their table, all of that. But when you have 2, now you've got to be worrying about that table, you got to worry about that table, and there's not as much time in between to just kind of chill and relax. So that was like the biggest adjustment for me, was the fact that you're always on, and one of your kids always wants something. And then there was like just the overall adjustment of like, you also feel like you want to give both of them attention, and sometimes one of them needs more attention than the other. Right now we're in a season where, I'll be honest with you, I'm spending a lot of time with Riley and like homeschooling and working on a curriculum with her and making sure that she's like where she needs to be for like pre-K, kindergarten, all of that. But then in the back of my mind, I'm constantly going, well, I'm doing this with Riley, but am I giving Jackson enough attention? Am I teaching him his colors? Am I teaching him his ABCs? Am I doing too much with Riley and not enough with him? So there's always this constant battle of that. So like mentally, it takes a toll on you too. Having 2 kids is super fun. Like, I don't wanna like discourage you from having multiple kids. Like, I think it's the greatest thing now to be able to see the kids interact with each other. You know, I've given them a buddy, a playmate forever. Hopefully they like each other when they're older, but it's a lot. And also one of the biggest things that I didn't really realize is that there's just so much noise now, so much noise. Because when it was just Riley and I, it was, you know, she was playing with something, she was quiet, you know, like I could put my TV on and I could know that she was playing with something. And yeah, when she was fussy, she'd have a moment where I'd have to like settle her down or whatever, but it wasn't as loud. Because now that I have another one in the mix, it's like, if she's quiet, he's screeching. Or what's more common is that they're playing together and they're fighting now, or this one took this one's toy and now they're screeching over that. They're making each other upset, they're bothering each other. Again, they're tiny, they love each other, but there's like that element now. So that's something that I didn't realize until I had 2 kids. Like now you've got there's like 2 people, and now they also interact with each other, and it just makes a lot more noise and chaos because of that. So I don't know if any of that is helpful. It is the greatest blessing of my life. Again, somebody else asked, like, does having kids now make this time in your life feel fulfilling? Yes, it does. Despite all of the craziness that's going on here at home and in the world, like, there's so much joy that comes from having my kids, and I love them. I adore them, and I love being their mom, and I adore this season that I'm in. It's hard. I'm a hot mess half the time, more than half the time, but I know that I was made for this, and I know that, you know, God has put me in this moment to be their mom, for better or for worse. Whether they like it or not, I'm gonna teach them something. It's fun. I feel fulfilled. I'm very good at like go with the flow, and like that's what the season is right now. Every day is different. We do different things every day. I can adapt and improvise very well. That's just my personality. I get bored when I'm doing the exact same thing every single day, and God knows that we do not ever do the same thing day after day. Even though, like, it's interesting because the whole like being a stay-at-home mom, like you have this mentality of like, oh, being a stay-at-home mom can be very monotonous because you're doing the same thing every day, right? You're doing laundry over and over and over again. You're putting your kids down for nap time over and over and over again. But at the same time, no 2 days are the same. Like Riley and I do different crafts every day. Some days we go out, some days we stay in. Sometimes it's cold out and we can't go outside. Sometimes it's a beautiful day, we go outside, we play with the leaves. Like every day is different, and I really like that. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed just hanging out and chatting while I did some laundry. I'm gonna go relax now. It's 4 o'clock. I guess I should make some dinner or something. Joe's gonna be home soon. But that's a little Q&A. If you guys have any other questions, let me know down below. I promise that the next time I do a Q&A, I won't sound like a man. I'll have maybe my voice back. But thanks for being here. Thanks for being my friend. And thanks for allowing me to just chat about life and things with you guys without like me feeling like I'm constantly going to be attacked, because there are people that get attacked a lot. And I'm glad that I'm not one of those, like, knock on wood. I feel like you guys have my back and I love it. So I love your freaking faces. Thanks for being here. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.